Sir, you haven't told me what this is yet. Chiron grimaced. Well, that's the hard part, the details. Thunder rumbled across the valley. The storm clouds had now reached the edge of the beach. As far as I could see, the sky and the sea were boiling apart. Poseidon and Zeus, they're fighting over something valuable. Something that was stolen, aren't they? Chiron and Grover exchanged looks. Chiron sat forward in his wheelchair. How did you know that? My face felt hot. I wished I hadn't opened my big mouth. The weather since Christmas has been weird, like the sea and the sky are like fighting. Then I talked to Annabeth, and she overheard something about a theft, and I've been having dreams. I knew it, Grover said. Hush, satyr! But it is his quest. Grover's eyes were bright. It must be. Only the oracle can determine. Chiron stroked his bristly beard. Nevertheless, Percy, you are correct. Your father and Zeus are having the worst quarrel in the centuries. They are fighting over something valuable that was stolen. To be precise, it is a lightning bolt. I laughed nervously. What? Do not take this lightly, Chiron warned. I'm not talking about some tinfoil-covered zigzag you see in a second-grade play. I'm talking about a 2-foot-long cylinder of high-grade celestial bronze capped on both ends with god-level explosives. Oh, Zeus's master bolt, Chiron said, getting worked up now. The symbol of his power, from which all other lightning bolts are patterned, the first weapon made by Cyclopses in the War of the Titans. The bolt that sheared the top of Mount Elna and hurled Kronos from his throne. And it's missing? Stolen, Chiron said. By who? By whom? By you. My mouth fell open. At least, Chiron held up a hand, that's what Zeus thinks. During the winter solstice at the last council of the gods, Zeus and Poseidon had an argument. The usual nonsense. Afterward, Zeus realized his master bolt was missing, taken from the throne room under his very nose. He immediately blamed Poseidon. Now a god cannot usurp another god's symbol. It is forbidden. But Zeus believes your father convinced a human hero to take it. But I didn't. Patience, innocent child, Chiron said. Zeus had good reason to be suspicious. He forges all the Cyclopses under the ocean, which gave Poseidon some influence over the makers of his brother's lightning. Zeus believes Poseidon had taken the Master Bolt and is now secretly having Cyclopses build an arsenal of illegal copies which might be used to topple Zeus off his throne. The only thing Zeus wasn't sure about was which hero Poseidon had take the bolt. Now Poseidon openly claimed you were in New York over the winter holiday. You could have easily snuck into Olympus. Zeus believes he found the thief. But I've never even been to Olympus. Zeus is crazy. Percy, we don't use the C word about the Lord of the Sky. Perhaps paranoid, Chiron suggested. Then, again, Poseidon had tried to unseat Zeus before. I believe the question 38 on your final exam, he looked at me as if he actually expected me to remember that on my final exam from his class. How could anyone accuse me of stealing a god's weapon? I couldn't even steal a slice of pizza from Gabe's poker party without getting busted. Chiron was waiting for the answer. Something about a golden net, I said. Poseidon and Hera and a few gods, they trapped Zeus and wouldn't let him out unless he promised to be a better ruler, right? Correct, Chiron said, and Zeus had never trusted Poseidon since. Of course, Poseidon denied stealing the Master Bolt. He took great offense to the accusation. The two have been arguing back and forth for months, threatening war. Now you've come along, the proverbial last straw. I'm just a kid. Percy, Grover cut in. If you were Zeus and you already thought your brother was plotting to overthrow you, then your brother suddenly admitted he had broken the sacred oath made before World War II, and he fathered a new mortal hero who might be used as a weapon against you. Wouldn't it put a twist on your toga? But I didn't do anything. Poseidon, my dad, he didn't really have a Master Bolt stolen, did he? Chiron said. Most thinking observers would agree that thievery is not Poseidon's style, but the sea god is too proud to try convincing Zeus of that. Zeus had demanded that Poseidon return the bolt by the summer solstice. That's June 21st, 10 days from now. Poseidon wants an apology for being called a thief by the same date. I hoped that diplomacy would prevail, but it did not. And you know what a full-fledged war would look like, Percy. Bad? I guess. Imagine the world in chaos, nature at war with itself, Olympians forced to choose sides between Zeus and Poseidon, destruction, carnage, millions dead. Western civilization turned into a battleground so big it will make the Trojan War look like a water balloon fight. Bad, I repeated. And you, Percy Jackson, would be the first to feel Zeus' wrath. It started to rain. Volleyball players stopped their game and I stared in sudden silence at the sky. I had brought this storm to have blood hail. Zeus was punishing the whole camp because of me. I was furious. So I have to find a stupid bolt and return it to Zeus? What better peace offering, Chiron said, than have the son of Poseidon return Zeus's property? If Poseidon doesn't have it, what is the thing? I believe I know. Part of a prophecy I had years ago. Well, some of the lines make sense to me now. But before I can say more, you must officially take up the quest. You must seek the counsel of the oracle. Why can't you tell me about the bolt beforehand? Because if I did, you would be too afraid to accept a challenge. I swallowed. Good reason? You agree, then! I looked at Grover, who nodded encouragingly. Easy for him. I was the one Zeus wanted to kill. All right, I said. It's better than being turned into a dolphin. Then it's time you consulted the oracle, Chiron said. Go upstairs, Percy Jackson, to the attic. When you come back down, assuming you're still sane, we will talk. 4 flights up the stairs ended under a green trapdoor. I pulled the cord. The door swung down, and a wooden ladder came into place. The warm air from above smelled like mildew and rotten wood and something else, a smell I remembered from biology class. Reptiles, the smell of snakes. I held my breath and climbed. The attic was filled with a Greek hero jump. Armor stands covered in cobwebs, once bright shields pitted with rust, old leather-streamed jackets plastered with stickers saying things. One long table was stacked with glass jars filled with pickled things, severed hairy claws, huge yellow eyes, various other parts of monsters. A dusty mounted trophy on the wall looked like a giant snake's head, but the horns and a full set of shark teeth. The plaque read Hydra Head #1 from 1969. By the window, sitting at a wooden tripped stool, was the most gruesome memento of all. It was a mummy. Not the wrapped in cloth kind, but human female body, shriveled to a husk. She wore a tie-dye sundress, lots of beaded necklaces, and a headband over long black hair. The skin of her face was thin and leathery over her skull, and her eyes were glassy white slits, as if the real eyes had been replaced by marbles, and she'd been dead long, long ago. Guys, think about it. You go into an attic and there is a literal mummy sitting there. Dead person. Okay? Looking at her sent chills down my back. And before she sat up on her stool, and that was before she sat up on the stool and decided to open her mouth. A green mist poured out of the mummy's mouth, boiling over the floor in thick tendrils, hissing like 20,000 snakes. I stumbled over myself, trying to get out the trapdoor, but it slammed shut. Instead, I heard a voice. I am the spirit. I am the spirit of Delphi, speaker of all prophecies, slayer of the mighty Python. Approach, seeker, and ask. I wanted to say no thanks. Wrong door. Just looking for the bathroom, but I forced myself to take a step. The mummy wasn't really alive. She was some kind of gruesome receptacle of something, the power that was now swirling around me in green mist. But its presence didn't feel evil, like Mrs. Sod's or the Minotaur. It felt like the 3 feet I'd seen knitting yarn outside the highway fruit stand. Ancient, powerful, and definitely not human, but not particularly interested in killing me either. I got the courage to ask, what's my destiny? The mist swirled more thickly, collecting right in front of me and around the table in pickled monster part jars. Suddenly, there were 4 men sitting around a table playing cards. Their faces became clearer. It was Smelly Gabe and his buddies. My fist clenched. Though I knew his poker party was not real, it was an illusion made of mist. So the mist just turned into somebody. Who did it turn into? Who did it just turn into? Grant? Who is Percy's biggest fear? His stepdad. Okay. His buddy on the right, Gabe turned toward me and spoke in a rasping voice of the oracle. You shall go west and face the god who has turned. His buddy looked at me and said, "You shall find what is stolen, and it will be safely returned." The guy on the left threw 2 poker chips and said, "You shall be betrayed by one who calls you friend." Finally, Eddie, our building super, delivered the worst line of all. "And you shall fail to save what matters most in the end." The figures then began to dissolve. At first, I was too stunned to say anything, but the mist retreated, coiling into the huge green serpent. I cried, "Wait, what do you mean? What friend? What will I fail to save?" The tail of the mist snake disappeared into the mummy's mouth. She reclined back against the wall, her mouth closed tight, as if it hadn't opened in hundreds of years. The attic was silent again, abandoned, nothing in the room full of memories. I got the feeling that I could stand here until I was in cobwebs too, and I wouldn't learn anything else. My audience with the oracle was over. "Well?" Chiron asked me when I came downstairs. She said I have to retrieve what was stolen. Grover sat forward, chewing excitedly of the remains of a Diet Coke can. "That's great!" "What did the oracle say exactly?" Chiron said. "This is important." My ears were tingling from the reptilian voice. She said, I would go west and face a god who turned. I would retrieve what was stolen and see it safely returned. "I knew it," Grover said. Chiron didn't look satisfied. "Anything else?" I didn't want to tell him. What friend would betray me? I didn't have many. In the last line, I would fail to save what mattered most. What kind of oracle would send me on a quest and tell me, "Oh, by the way, you're going to fail"? How could I confess that? "No," I said, "that's it." He said in my face, "Very well, Percy, but know this. The oracle's words often have double meaning. Don't dwell on them too much. The truth is not always clear until events come to pass." I got the feeling he knew I was holding something back, something bad, and he was trying to make me feel better. "Okay," I said, "so where do I go? Who's the god of the West?" "Oh, think, Percy. If Zeus and Poseidon weaken each other in the war, who stands to gain?" "Somebody else who wants to take over." "Yes, quite. Somebody who harbors a judge or a grudge, who has been unhappy with a lot since the world was divided eons ago. Someone who hates his brothers for forcing him on an oath to have no more children." I thought back to my dream and the evil voice that spoke from the ground. "Hades." Chiron nodded. "The Lord of the Dead is the only possibility." A scrap of aluminum dribbled over Grover's mouth. "Whoa, what? What? "A fury came after Percy. She watched the young man until she was sure of his identity, then tried to kill him. Furies obey only one lord. They obey Hades." "Yes, but Hades hates all heroes," Grover protested, "especially if he has found out Percy is the son of Poseidon." "A hellhound got to the forest," Chiron said. "They can only be summoned by the fields of punishment, and it has been summoned by someone within the camp. Hades has a spy here. He must suspect Poseidon will try to use Percy to clear his name. Hades would very much like to kill this young half-blood before he takes on a quest." "Great," I muttered. "That's 2 major gods who want me dead." "But a quest too?" Grover said. "I mean, couldn't the Master Bolt be in someplace in Maine? Maine's very nice." "Hades sent a minion to steal the Master Bolt. He did it in the underworld, knowing full well that Zeus would blame Poseidon. I don't pretend to understand this man. But you, Percy, must go to the underworld to find the Master Bolt and reveal the truth." A strange fire burned in my stomach. The weirdest thing was, it wasn't fear, it was anticipation, desire for revenge. Hades tried to kill me 3 times so far with the Fury, the Minotaur, and the Hellhound. It was his fault my mother disappeared in a flash of light. Now he was trying to frame me and my dad for a theft we didn't do. I was ready to take him on. Besides, if my mother was in the underworld, whoa, boy, said the small part of my brain. "You're a kid. Hades is a god." Grover was trembling. He started eating chips and potato chips. The poor guy needed to complete a quest with me so he could get his searcher's license, whatever it was. But how could I ask him to do this quest, especially when the oracle said that I was destined to fail? "Look, if we know it's Hades, why can't we just tell the other gods? Zeus or Poseidon could go down in the underworld and bust some heads." Suspecting and knowing are not the same. Besides, even if the other gods suspect Hades, and I imagine Poseidon does, they couldn't retrieve the bolt themselves. Gods cannot cross into territories except by invitation. That's another ancient rule. Why do you think the gods operate through humans? You're saying I'm literally being used by the gods. I'm saying it's no accident. Poseidon claimed you now. It's a very risky gamble, but he's desperate. He needs you. My dad needs me. Emotions rolled up inside me like bits of glass. I didn't know whether to feel resentful, grateful, happy, or sad. Poseidon had ignored me for 12 years. Now suddenly he needed me. I looked at Chiron. You've known I was Poseidon's son all along, haven't you? I had my suspicion, and now I've spoken to the Oracle too. I got the feeling that he wasn't telling me about the prophecy, but I decided I couldn't worry about that right now. After all, I was holding back information too. So let me get this straight. I'm supposed to go to the underworld and confront the god of the dead. Check. Find the most powerful weapon of the universe. Check. And get it back to Olympus before the summer solstice in 10 days. That's about right. I looked at Grover. Did I mention that Maine is very nice this time of year? Grover said. You don't have to go. I said, I can't ask that of you. Oh, no, it's just the satyrs and underground places. Well, he took a deep breath, then stood, brushing the shredded cards and aluminum bits off his t-shirt. You saved my life, Percy. If you're serious about me wanting to go along, I'll go with you. I felt so relieved I wanted to cry, though I didn't think that would be very heroic. Grover was the only friend I ever had. I wasn't sure what good a satyr could do against the forces of dead, but I felt better knowing he'd be with me. All the way, G-Man. I turned to Chiron. So where do we go? The Oracle said go west. The entrance of the underworld is always west. It moves from age to age, just like Olympus. Right now, it's in America. Where? Chiron said. I thought you would never ask. The entrance is in Los Angeles. Oh, I said. Naturally, so we are just going to get on a plane. No! Grover said. Percy, what are you thinking? Have you ever been on a plane in your life? I shook my head. My mom had never taken me anywhere. She always said she didn't have the money. Besides, her parents did die in a plane crash. Percy, think. You're the sea god. You're the son of the sea god. Your father's bitterest rival is Zeus, lord of the sky. Your mother knew better than to put you on an airplane because Zeus would have knocked the plane out. Overhead lightning crackled, thunder boomed. Okay, I said, I'll travel overland. That's right, Chiron said. 2 companions may go with you. Grover's one, the other one volunteered if you accept her help. Gee, I said, friend. Who else would be stupid enough to volunteer for this quest? This air shimmered behind Chiron. Annabeth then became visible, stuffing her Yankees cap to her back pocket. I've been waiting a long time for a quest, seaweed brain. Athena is no fan of Poseidon, but if you're going to save the world, I'm the best person to help you from messing up. If you do say so yourself, I said, I suppose you have a plan, wise girl? Her cheeks colored. Do you want my help or not? The truth was I did. I needed all the help I could get. A trio, I said. That'll work. Excellent, Chiron said. This afternoon, we can take you to the bus terminal in Manhattan. After that, you're on your own. Lightning flashed, rain poured down in the meadows that were never supposed to have violent weather. No time to waste. I think you should all go get packing. There we go.